All right, how does the X50 Ultra stack up against the competition? Let's find out. We'll be looking at some key metrics and performance data to get a better feel for this particular vacuum compared to the competition. Now, keep in mind, this is a flagship top-of-the-line model from one of the leading innovators in this space, so it definitely comes with a cost. Now, the good news is if you're ordering this right away, they have pretty good discounts for early bird adopters who want this right away, so make sure you're taking advantage of that if that's what you choose. If not, you might have to sit back and wait a little while until you see it discounted when maybe the X60 comes out or your favorite Black Friday, Cyber Monday. You get the idea. But anyways, to start, you can expect to pay a pretty penny for this vacuum to be at the cutting edge of what's possible in this space. And it's got some pretty jaw-dropping specs. This is the highest suction power we've seen, 20,000 pascals of suction power. That's over 3 times the average robot vacuum suction power, probably more realistically like 4 times your typical robot vac. Our SKU is a little higher with a lot of the top of the line models, but anyways, that's besides the point. Very powerful. And that holds true with our in-house max CFM measurement. Just like suction power, usually the higher the better. It's a good leading indicator for actual real-world performance. 9.5, very respectable score compared to the average of 6.9. Now, how did it actually do cleaning? Well, let's find out. In our carpet deep cleaning test, we scored 90 out of 100. That's 3 points better than average. Next up is battery life. The Dreame X50 Ultra is good for up to 220 minutes on a single charge, well above average. And the reason we get that great runtime is due to the above average battery capacity. We have a 6,400 milliamp hour battery capacity. That's still the largest size that we've seen in a robot vacuum. Typically, your mid-range premium have 5,200 milliamp hours, and the flagship models usually will have 52 or 6,400 milliamp hours. In this case, Dreame chose wisely. Now let's talk about height. This is one of my favorite features on the X50 Ultra. It's the retractable LiDAR navigation module up at the top. Typically for vacuums like this, you'll be around that 4 to 4.3 inch height. Because you have that module sticking up, this can operate at that height when it's using it, but can also put it down and still operate just fine, allowing its height to be 3.5 inches. That's 0.2 inches below average, which is really phenomenal for what this vacuum is. Don't think I was going to forget about talking about the ProLeap system. I don't know what's cooler, watching that module go up and down or watching the vacuum lift itself up and traverse obstacles that it really has no business going over. Anyways, this is broken out into single and double leaps. Looking at the single leap, 42 millimeters in clearance height that you get with this model, compared to really only Roborock's Crevo Curve and Edge offer something similar at 30 millimeters, so 12 millimeters above the competition. And then same story for the double leap, basically can kind of traverse and then traverse again. So 60 millimeters total compared to Roborock at 40 millimeters. And we can't forget about common features like self-empty. We're seeing that in 71% of the samples that we've tested, and no surprise here, the X50 Ultra does have self-emptying. And just like self-emptying, this also has mopping capabilities. We've seen that in about 70% of the units that we've tested. For those wondering about the internal water tank capacity on the X50 Ultra, it's 80 milliliters. That's about half the average, but again, just like self-emptying and internal dustbin sizes, we find on vacuums like this that are equipped with the ability to go back, wash, and refill themselves, it's kind of a moot point and doesn't really matter. And the X50 Ultra does support hot water mop washing, but it's the hottest water we've ever seen, 176 degrees Fahrenheit. The average is 154. And not only does the X50 Ultra have station self-cleaning, but they call it Ace Clean dry board self-cleaning. This is more advanced than your typical station cleaning. We got basically 20-some jets that will clean and wash the station itself. In regards to station and washboard self-cleaning, we've only seen that in about 6% of models so far, and most are not going to be as advanced as what we're seeing with the X50 Ultra, so pretty substantial upgrade. Next, let's talk about mop lift height. This is measured in millimeters, 10.5 millimeter mop lift height compared to the average of 10. But the good news here is that with the X50 Ultra, it supports mop pad removal, making this a moot point because it can just leave the mop pads behind at the station automatically all on its own and go out and vacuum and not risk any sort of contact with your favorite and most cherished carpets and rugs. We're only seeing this in about 4% of models out there. Another feature that you want to see in your mopping system is Mop Extend, where basically you can kick out and slide out the mop pad to clean along edges and corners better than your typical robot vac. It's not perfect, it's not going to be 100% coverage, but again, anything extra is better than nothing. A super clutch feature is the side brush reach on the X50 Ultra. We're only seeing that in about 8% of models out there. Again, X40 Ultra, a couple of Roborock's models, but really we're not seeing that on a lot of the competition yet. I expect that to trickle down more and more this year. And for those wondering, this is also equipped with main brush lifting, and it can lift the side brush to help prevent any sort of contamination when it's mopping versus vacuuming. You get the idea there. Only 6% of the samples that we've tested so far have main brush lifting, and even those that do don't always have side brush lifting. So keep that in mind. This has both. And a very welcomed addition and upgrade to the Dreame X50 Ultra is what they call their Hyperstream Detangling Duo Brush. 29% of vacuums that we test have some sort of dual roller brush system. That skews high because we cover a lot of the iRobot Roomba models that basically have that by default. But this system, just like Narwhal's and even Roborock's new one, where basically it funnels all the hair to one side and sucks it out, that is the future to really help cut down on hair tangles. And moving right along, let's talk about LED lights. The X50 Ultra is equipped with an LED light. We're seeing that on about 13% of models out there. We have live video monitoring with the X50 Ultra. We're seeing that in about 20% of models out there. And last but not least, we can't forget about voice assistants. If you want to use the dedicated voice assistants on the X50 Ultra, the good news here is you have one, so you can. We're seeing that in about 7% of vacuums out there for hands-free control right from the vacuum itself, no third party. So you could just use it directly with your vacuum, which is a nice touch.